Okay, algebra, welcome to lesson 1.1, evaluate expressions. Check out the learning target. It's I can write and evaluate algebraic expressions. I can read and write powers. I can evaluate powers. Another word for powers would be exponents. All right, we have worked together on this, so I want you to just kind of get a feel for how these videos are going to work out. Most of the time I'll be working them out in front of you on this video. If you get stuck or if I go too fast, you can pause it, go back, whatever it takes. So the first problem, when you are multiplying fractions, you could go ahead and multiply across the top. 7 times 3 is 21. Chairs on wheels. Sorry, I just jerked forward. And then 14 times 27. Well, that's an issue. 14 times 27. 378. But I don't recommend that because now you have to reduce this fraction. Unless you have a cool calculator that's going to reduce this fraction for you, look at this. 21 divided by 378, enter. Here's the decimal, but when I press math, this math key, you can't see it. Let's bring it up. When I press math, and notice fraction is highlighted right there. So if I just press enter, it'll change it to the actual fraction, the actual answer, reduced for you. So I recommend cross-reduce when you can so you don't run into this issue unless you're really good at it. When I reduce this, 7 goes into 14 2 times, 3 goes into 27 9 times, multiply across the bottom, multiply across the top, you're going to have 1 over 18, just like I did before. This problem, you cannot add fractions unless you have a common denominator. My two denominators are 4 and 8. Well, 4 does go into 8 2 times. So if I multiply the denominator, the bottom value by 2, you can multiply the top by 2. 3 times 2 is 6. These are equivalent fractions. If I put this in the calculator and this in the calculator, they'll both say 0.75. Now that I have a common denominator, just add across the top and keep that bottom number the same. This one should be easy. I was just going to wonder if anybody would forget negative times negative is a positive. 55. All right, looking at this next part, slide up a little bit. Variable is just any letter. X and Y are the most common variables. You'll see N for a number, H for height, S for side. And so don't be afraid of those. They just represent anything you can plug in or substitute in. An algebraic expression or variable expression basically might have operations, your plus, minus, multiply, divide, along with a letter in there somewhere. To evaluate, you'll just substitute in. So read that carefully. Make sure you understand what it means. Come and see if you don't. Here are some different ways to represent multiplying a number with a variable. This is how we represent dividing. A word that a lot of people use with dividing is quotient. Q-U-O-T-I-E-N-T. Adding and subtracting. Remember I did this in class? A lot of students mess this up. If I write the words 3 less than W, it means you're taking 3 away from W. It looks like this. So be really careful. A lot of students will write that by mistake. Looking at example 1, we already did these problems in class, but again, just want to show you how it works. We're evaluating the expression. You're going to be plugging in 4 for n. So 23n means 23 times 4. You get 92. 22 divided by 4. If you just reduce these, you get 11 halves. I'm okay with this. Some people prefer, actually this would be bad because I didn't reduce the fraction. Some people prefer to write their answer as a mixed number. It's 5.5 or a decimal, 5.5. This one's tricky. Well, it's not tricky, it's actually just important. It always gives you an odd number. Because every time you take any number, whether it's odd or even, multiply by 2, you're doubling it. It'll become even. If you add or subtract 1 point, it'll become an odd number automatically. So when we plug in 4, 2 times 4 is 8, minus 1, we get 7. This problem is tricky again, fractions. I'm going to be doing this all year. We have 3/8 here. Multiply by 4. 4 is the same as 4 over 1. I write it like this so it tells me right away, cross reduce. 4 goes into 8 2 times. So now when I multiply this, 3 times 1 is 3, 2 times 1 is 2. Oh, look what I did here. 7 is the same as 14 over 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. The reason I changed this is so I have a common denominator, because I cannot add fractions unless the denominator is the same. Now that 2 is my denominator, or bottom number, go ahead and add 3 plus 14 equals 17. This is fine for an answer, otherwise 8.5 or 8.5. This problem's a nice easy one. Evaluate the expression. The total cost of a Kenosha Kingfish game can be represented by an expression S plus F. Okay, so here I give you the expression, where S is the cost in dollars for your seat and F is the cost in dollars for food. Suppose you pay $12 for a good seat and $13.50 for food. Find the total cost. Well, I gave you the expression. Substitute 12 in for S. Substitute in your value for food. Add it up, you get $25.50. $25.50. If you forget this symbol right here, the problem is technically wrong. Okay, so don't forget to label your responses. Flip it. Next page. Power. Another word for power is exponent. Okay? If you see anything raised to the power, this is 4 to the 5th power. It means the base is 4, written 5 times. And you multiply them. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. When you multiply these, you're going to get 1,024. Write the power in words and as a product. They didn't actually want the final answer, so when we were writing 36 down, students were shouting answers, so I gave it to them. But writing in words would look like this, 3rd to the 1st power, and then writing it as a product, okay? So here are the words, writing it as a product. Writing it as a product. Here are the words. Again, the only reason why I think it's important to show you this answer is a lot of you hate fractions, but when you're working with them, it's so much easier than the decimals. Because here you're going to multiply across the top. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. It's my top number. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. And I know some of you are probably wondering why I did not reduce these. If you notice, there's no cross-reducing I can do. So I already know that when I multiply these out, I've already have it simplified as much as I can. This one's tricky. Notice I showed you how to put this in the calculator. This is caret. Some of your calculators have this. 12 to the 0 power is 1. If your calculator doesn't have it, the caret symbol, it'll have this symbol also. So you write 12, press this key, then press 0, you're going to get a 1. Anything to the 0 power is always 1. So you can have like 3, 2, 7, 5, 1, 9 to the 0 power. That's going to equal 1. Example 4, evaluate the expression. I have x to the 3rd power, or you can say x cubed. Evaluate when x equals 7. So that means just substitute 7 in. This means x times x times x. So 7 times 7 times 7. When you multiply those out, you get 343. W to the 4th power. Well, look at this. I give you a decimal. I did this problem on purpose because this looks kind of nasty. Doing this by hand, I think, is very difficult. So you are forced to use a calculator. Now check out the problem with a fraction. Z squared. Z is 3/5. So 3/5 times 3/5. I had some students that questioned me how to put this in the calculator. Well, if you want this in the calculator, you put parenthesis, 3 divided by 5, parenthesis, times 3 divided by 5, and you'll get some answer. So the answer you get would be actually the decimal equivalent. 9 divided by 25 is 0.36. And everybody knows how to change that to a fraction, right? 36 over 100, then divide by 4. Both answers are correct, but notice this problem is pretty much done right in front of you. The fractions are a lot easier. Example 5 is a volume problem. Locker shelf has these dimensions. A lot of you have 2 of these in your locker. Once assembled, find the volume space available under the shelf. Well, volume is length times width times height. This is going to change a little bit with different solid figures we're going to be working with. But the length is 10 times 11 times 12. I actually give you that information right here. Multiply them. If you forget this part, the problem is not going to be correct. You need to have your final description. This is a story problem. This is in inches. The symbol is in inches. Feet would be 1. Okay? So inches would be 2 slashes. So this is inches cubed because it's 3-dimensional. Here's the homework assignment. We're going to be working on that tomorrow. In the future, we'll be doing that in class all the time, in the videos at home. Here's your Common Core standard, so if you're interested, trying to find it, There it is. All right. Have a nice evening. Take care.